All right, let's just have some fun with this. All right. So currently, Vegas has Jimmy Butler coming to the Spurs.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? How y'all doing? I am Jeff Garcia, your Spurs, Locked On Spurs host right here on Locked On Spurs Network. I am a Spurs beat writer for Ken's Fight San Antonio, and I'm glad to have y'all back. Hope y'all having a great work week. Look, one more day, right? One more day, and we'll get the weekend, and y'all gonna have some fun, relax, get away from the job, and get some downtime in. But first, we got to get through this Spurs offseason. It's winding down. We're almost there. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. By the way, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, Ken's Fight Plus app. The list goes on and on. Simply pick a platform, and we are there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just go to FanDuel.com to get started. What are we talking about today? We're going to be just having some fun with it. I get it. Our guests, we get it. It's not going to happen, but let's just entertain it. Frankly, it's the freaking offseason. That's why we got to entertain it. I got to fill in some time somehow. But we're going to be looking at Bovada and the odds they put out there recently regarding Jimmy Butler's next destination. Spurs are among them. We're going to entertain that thought and then talk about you guys, Locked On Spurs fans, in the comments. Y'all are leaving. So let me set it up for y'all. So basically, Bovada, all Vegas odds makers are putting out their futures, player props, all that good stuff. Well, Jimmy Butler's name came up. And for those who don't know, after this upcoming season, he is a free agent. And will he stay in Miami? Will the Heat re-sign him? What if he goes somewhere else? Well, the Spurs are listed among those teams where he could take his talents to next season. And look, the Spurs are in a rebuild, right? They're on a rebuild. If they want to speed it up a bit, is Jimmy Butler the answer? And look, I get it. We get it. I'm going to repeat it again. Okay? We know it's probably never going to happen, but let's just entertain the thought. And to entertain that thought, let me go ahead and bring in my guest. He is back, everybody. I haven't seen him in a while. There he is. Mr. Tom Petrini.
It's been a dog's age. How are you, man?
Oh, man, you're Mr. Busybody, man. We were talking about that before we record, man. You got so much going up there in Austin, man. But are you at least taking time for yourself, though?
Oh, always. So I recently, what's been taking time for myself is the college football game. I'm not paying for 2K yet, but the college football game, man. Like, Northeastern University, my alma mater, undefeated since 2004. Not a lot of people know that, and you know why? It's because that's when they disbanded the program. So. But you can download files, right? And they basically made a football program. The football program I never had, right? And so we're going for a third straight natty. Just running the option down your gullet until you're sick. But
there you go.
Yeah, no, it's I'm doing all right, man. It's good to see you.
Oh, I'm glad you're back, man. And make sure to follow him, everybody, on X at Real Tom Petrini. And check out his show, the Silver Black Coffee Hour. It's on X as well. SLVRBLK Coffee Hour, all one word. Check it out there. He chops it up with a bunch of his boys about your favorite NBA teams. He'll talk about that later on. We'll give him his time to shine and brag about his new show there. But Tom, I pretty much told everybody, we get it. We know it likely will not happen. But it's the off season, so we got to fill in the days. So let's entertain this. So you're well aware of this, Tom. Bovada, the Vegas odds makers, put up their odds / prop futures, player futures for Jimmy Butler. He could leave Miami Heat after this upcoming season. And the Spurs are among the teams where Butler could play, according to Bovada. And the odds are set at plus 800. They're not astronomical, like, okay, that ain't going to happen. They're kind of somewhere in the middle there. And the Spurs are about about fourth or fifth spot in that race if they're going to chase Butler. But Spurs are in a rebuild, Tom. Let's have fun with this. Do you think Butler could be a target, considering next offseason is, supposedly the big offseason, all the free agents and the draft, and the Spurs have the Atlanta picks and this and that. What do you think about Butler coming to San Antonio?
So I think, and the odds as I understand them are about free agency when he becomes a free agent,
right?
Not
exactly.
If he were to be traded, right?
No.
And that one I think is definitely not happening, right? I don't see any trade happening in the imminent future for 35-year-old Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, 34, 35, yeah.
So, I think maybe if you believe that something like that would happen, I think it misreads the offseason moves that the Spurs have made already in bringing in Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, right? If you look at that and you say, well, they're bringing in these like mid to late 30s guys with talent and experience, they're just going to keep doing that, right? And I think probably not. I think that what Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes are is much needed veteran presence, first of all, right? Clearly, Spurs missed that in the last season, the first season with Wemby, which is a tough season to be down veteran experience, right? And I think with Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, those are really steady hands. But I also think that the contracts that those guys are on, this is meant to keep the Spurs nimble. This is meant to be a bridge to whatever's next. This is not it's not a championship push, and it's not this is how we're going to build our team moving forward. I think it sets the Spurs up very nicely to, one, showcase what Victor Wembanyama can do with, really skilled talent around him, right?
Yep.
I think, one, his individual growth is going to be kind of staggering, and two, I think that when you put him in pick and roll 20 times a game with Chris Paul, that's
forget about it. Yeah.
It's gonna look a lot better, right? And so I think that is going to have the effect of attracting, that next star player. And I don't think it's Jimmy Butler for this Spurs team. I think it is, somebody that you think can continue to grow with Victor. Somebody who is talented, somebody who maybe is in not a great situation, right? Not getting used effectively or well. And you look at him and you say, oh, he would fit really nice next to Vic, actually.
Yeah.
And can grow with the team's best player. And so I just think that, if next year the Spurs are targeting Jimmy Butler in free agency, I think, I can see how it might appeal to Jimmy, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He wouldn't be demanding anymore. I can see how
at the right price there could be a something that made sense, but I think it would kind of have to be like what Chris Paul did to come here, right? It would have to be flexible, team friendly, almost prove yourself, right? And I don't think that Jimmy Butler is quite at that stage, right? Where that would make the most sense for him.
Sure.
Although, he seems like he would be, he's a really serious hooper.
Oh, yeah.
Man. He that guy's tough as nails, and I respect the hell out of Jimmy Butler. He's a wonderful basketball player. And in terms of the veteran presence, I'm down with it. I think that for that to happen, here's a situation where I would be like, you know what? Yeah, go for it. He has kind of a down year in Miami or wherever if he gets shipped somewhere. And the Spurs play well and trade Chris Paul or Harrison Barnes, right? And those guys get to a better situation. There I can kind of see it, right? Because then now you need a guy like that. And it might be attractive enough. Yeah. But that's about the only way.
I want to talk to you about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now, San Antonio. Game Time is a new feature, which is called the Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Like the app also filters out the fluff, so you know you're going to get incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have it all. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, the super deal. They got it all. You even get views from your seat, so you can know where you're going to be looking at, how you're going to be taking in the event right on that app. By the way, that Game Time Picks, just want to reiterate that creation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, so much more. Those seat views, well, again, you get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. And the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Can't beat that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslinger's drive-through coffee. Go there right now. San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving. They'll have it. Check out the menu. A proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, like I was mentioned right now, the Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Springs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
If I want to play devil's advocate here and say, yeah, Spurs, go for it. You know, I would point to, you hit on a couple of them, the veteran presence on the court, off the court, locker room. We know that stuff. All-star, another all-star comes to San Antonio. Career hovering around double figure scoring. I think last year he averaged about a little close to 21 points per game for Miami. I would get it. Like if I'm playing devil's out here and it's all the Spurs chasing him and they send out that press release, we are adding Jimmy Butler. Okay, I would understand. But I think the con to it, and if we're going to balance it out, like why I would lean towards no, is you hit it on the head. He's an aged player anymore. How many more years does he have left? He's probably going to want the ball. And this ain't going to be Jimmy Butler's team. This is Victor's team. And then there's a logjam in his position. What's going to happen to a young kid like, if they want to give Steph Castle some run there at that position. Keldon, if he's still around. Jeremy, Devin, we mentioned Barnes, so I think it'll be too much stacked against him right there. And also Tom, we forget he's towards the end of his NBA career. At this point, he's kind of injury prone, there's that factor as well. So, and also too, let's talk about the money, Tom. If he's entering free agency, this is probably his last shot at getting a big time contract. And I don't know if the Spurs would be smart enough, it'll be dumb enough, I should say, to give him that kind of deal. They can invest that money in maybe a younger veteran. Does that make sense?
Right. It absolutely does. Yeah. And I think it's not, again, it's not that Jimmy Butler isn't a great player. He is. And like, he's one of those people that has a tendency to elevate the guys around him, right? He's intense as hell, right? If you were to sell the fans on, okay, we just signed Jimmy Butler and here's why. This guy has been around and he has been a hardcore basketball guy, locker room guy. Like he's not going to tolerate any soft stuff. Right.
Oh no, not at all.
And like, I think the Spurs are getting that sort of wisdom and leadership style from Chris Paul, right?
For sure.
Like, that would be the reason to do it, right? But unless it's a short term and pretty favorable contract, you're right. There are other things that San Antonio would be much wiser to do with their cap space and their rotation minutes than, devote that to Jimmy Butler, right? I think if stuff dries up, for both parties, then that's something that might, who knows?
Yeah. And here's the deal. What if Miami wants to play hardball and they want to do a sign and trade? They go like, okay, we'll work a sign and trade with you, San Antonio, and would the Spurs want to give up some of their assets for Butler at this stage in his career? Not knocking him. He's a phenomenal player.
I mean, it depends what the assets are, like anything, right? If they're like, we just want to get something, we'll take like, a second rounder, so 2029 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's always Price is Right, but I have a tough time envisioning a realistic scenario where the price would be right for Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Miami's going to want, I want to say a haul, but a little bit of a light sticker shock. And look, and I get it. Miami, they got to look out for their own, and sure, they're going to want to get as much as they can. But again, I think the Spurs would be prudent enough to not make some sort of drastic move, either throwing him a max deal or near max deal, wrecking that financial cap space.
It'll be interesting to see what his market is.
Well, yeah. And again, I think you brought up a good point too. We'll see how he plays this upcoming season. If he's aware that he's about to enter free agency, and if he's, Jimmy Butler, as the way we know Jimmy Butler playing out, there might be a sign that he wants to see what his market value is. Also, too, look your eye at the trade deadline. Will Miami just talk to him? That's something to watch during this NBA season and say, where you at? If you're not going to stay, let's see if we can work something out with you. So that's another period of time in the NBA schedule to keep an eye out for Jimmy Butler. But if we're looking at the odds, Tom, you got the Warriors ahead of the Spurs. You have Miami, obviously. He could stay there with Miami. So there were teams that could use him, not necessarily in San Antonio, but ultimately, as we mentioned, Tom, it ain't going to happen. It's likely not going to happen.
I agree. I think we talked about the appeal for Spurs, right? I think if Jimmy Butler was making the decision, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, no nonsense guy, right? There are probably going to be bad teams that can pay him a lot of money, but he doesn't want to deal with nonsense. And he, at this stage in his career, probably would like to get that elusive ring, right? If he can. And so if he sees the Spurs as a place where he could theoretically either do that or springboard to a title team that needs him, and, look what Chris Paul did.
Yep.
Say Chris Paul plays really well this season, and then a team that needs a good or great team that needs a point guard help picks him up, then it's like, hey,
sure, yeah.
Everybody else, look at this.
Yeah.
But again, unlikely to me at this point.
I'll tell you this much though. I would love to see that we know that Chris Paul got that fire in him, but imagine Jimmy Butler. There's Chris Paul, and then there's Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler, geez, I would love for that team to have that type of dog on the Spurs roster.
Right. The stories you hear about him, you're like, that's like, they need a little bit more of that whipping guys into shape around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that for Victor's place in the locker room, right, it's important that he doesn't have to be holding everybody else accountable, because he's 20, right?
Yeah.
And he's the star, he's the face. He's the guy who's he shouldn't have to be on dude's ass, on fundamental stuff, on effort stuff. He can't. He shouldn't be that guy. He shouldn't have to be that guy. And Jimmy Butler is maybe the most that guy in the history of the NBA. So
FanDuel. Look, you heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You want to go to FanDuel right now because they have something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That is a really good deal. Go jump on that right now. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every single regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account, current form of payment. You can cancel at any time. Again, that is a phenomenal deal. By the way, that FanDuel app, easy to use, very user-friendly. Put your bets in, quick, easy, 1, 2, 3, parlays, win totals, whatever it is. FanDuel is your #1 go-to to have fun with sports all season long. You want to go to FanDuel.com right now. Download America's #1 sportsbook. Yeah. Another cool thing, he would definitely fit into well in the Texas culture. Yeah, that guy's a country.
Yeah.
He's country.
He's country. He's emo. He's
emo.
He's hilarious. He's an exceptionally funny person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see him and Keldon getting along because they're both country. I could definitely see that happening. Yeah.
Just I can see him. I can see the two of them like chewing on like a little haystack doing some fishing. Like
exactly. Yeah. We're gonna go hunting. That's what we're gonna do in our All-Star break. Yeah. But again, there you have it. The Spurs fans, Bovada thinks the Spurs are among the top teams where Butler could land if he goes into free agency. Plus 800. Would you take those odds? Would you put some money down on that? Let us know what you think. You let Tom know on X at Real Tom Petrini, and you let me know by simply following the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Just go to YouTube and check out Locked On Spurs. Give us a subscription. By the way, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs push beyond the 5,000 subscriber point. So good job, guys. We appreciate that. All right, let's go and dive into some of your comments. Locked On Spurs fans, look, I get it. It's the off season. You're probably just tapping your fingers already. You're like ready, let's get this going. But we do appreciate those who are leaving some comments. So let's go ahead and dive into them right now. Hey, Tom, you've been seeing this all over social media and just in the industry. A lot of people are kind of starting to get into basketball trading cards, or just cards in general. Recently, Topps announced an $8,000 box set of Wemby cards. Yes, you heard that right, everybody. $8,000 for Wemby cards. For a box. That's it. One box. And which kind of is leaving Spurs fans to kind of scratch their heads now and asking, like, what's going on? Why is this happening? So, Tom, I'm not too sure how familiar you are with the card industry.
Talk me through it, Hefe. What's in the box? What's in the box?
You get autographs from Wemby. You get, those game-worn jersey cards where it's like a piece of, you get that. You get different variations with his autograph. They are autographs. They're not that copy and paste kind of thing. They just got, it's like his genuine autograph. And it's Wemby, and if he continues to skyrocket, those cards can be worth millions. Because right now, Tom, some of them are actually going over for $1 million. There's $1 million bounty right now on a particular card that a big time poker player, card collector put out there. So these are
it's on some Willy Wonka type.
Yeah,
stuff.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Who has the golden ticket?
Bring it to me and I'll give you a cool
exactly.
Mill. Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, let's get into the comment real fast, and then we'll get your take on this, and I'll talk about that. So the first comment is from, seriously, Tom, I love how these Spurs fans pick their names, like their handles. This is from Oh Don't You Know. Like, all right. Oh, don't you know? Oh, don't you know? Thank you for leaving a comment.
Very Midwest nice. Oh, don't you know?
And he says, and they're not even NBA licensed NBA cards. Now he's referring to the $8,000 pack of Wemby cards. People will buy them at ridiculous prices, and some other idiots will spend a lot more for them. Trading cards have become a rich man's hobby. So I guess to you, the question here, and thank you for that comment there, oh, don't you know, is do you think this type of industry, like where it's at right now, you think that could freeze out just fans that maybe don't have the means to buy $8,000 packs? Sure, you can go to the store and get them, at that dollar store or whatever. They're there, but it just feels like when you price them that high, you're kind of putting off some Spurs fans or just NBA fans that just want to collect, just to collect.
I mean, everybody who's ever collected anything that was like a card or a little collectible, a game piece, whatever you collect, there's a good chance they sold them in packs. And there's a good chance you didn't know what was in the pack when you got it, and you ripped it apart and hoped you got that cool thing. And sometimes, oh my God, this is so cool, right? That like thrill of a good find. That's the thing that keeps you coming back. And sometimes you get a box full of like, useless,
like duds.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuff that if you tried to sell it back to the guy at the card shop or the game store or wherever, he would give you about 11% of what you bought the box for, right?
Yeah.
Like that's always been inherent in the hobby. And I think probably for as long as these things have been considered investment tools, I mean, it's like any kind of investing. Of course, it's a rich man's game, right? Like it's they're, if they didn't offer this, right? People would just buy like, thousands of dollars. The rich people who really want those cards are going to buy thousands of dollars worth of boxes, and plenty do, and rip them open and, make content out of it. And if they find the thing, then they treat it as an investment. Great. And, I don't think we have the time to go into a whole, like, takedown of consumerism, but like, it's, I would be here for hours, but like I think as long as those packs exist, there's going to be that hope of that thrill. And I think we're increasingly seeing a market for collectibles of all sorts that understands this and makes it harder for people to hit on those things that they're hoping for. So it's tough, right? It's but like I said, anything that you can treat as an investment, there you go. It's like,
and they are treated like investments big time. I mean, seriously, they get them graded and whatnot. And I bring this topic up with Tom for y'all watching or listening in right now, is because tomorrow we're going to be getting more into depth into the basketball card world. What's going on? Why is everything skyrocketing? So they're kind of a little bit of teaser, as y'all know. I tend to cover a lot of the card industry here on Locked On Spurs or wherever, kensfi.com. So there you have it. But keep an eye on those cards. I mean, you might be, the lucky one. You hear that rumor, Tom, that some kid just went to I think it was like a Walgreens or something like that, and he got one of those generic cards they have at the counter, and he pulled a 1/1 rookie Wemby card, like the only one made in existence. I don't know if that's true, but that's what the streets are saying.
Stuff, man.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's a lottery, right?
It's a lottery.
It's a trading card lottery, and sometimes you win, and it's a lot of fun, and a lot of times you wind up with like Zarko pass pouch cards. Like I ripped a whole case of Skybox cards open, and I got one of MJ. I got one rookie MJ, which is awesome. That was what I got the box, hoping to find, right? And on the back of it, he's like playing golf, which is sick.
Oh, that's cool.
Like to have the photo on the back, be you golfing as a rookie, that's nuts. But anyway, cool. I got like 7 Zarko pass pouch cards, and I love that, right? But if you're not a Spurs fan with a deep appreciation for 90s big men, 80s big men who rip
smoking
cigs,
on the bench,
right? It's and any numbers game like that, you gotta be careful.
Absolutely.
But
all right.
But I still rip tax,
Yeah. I think we all do. We all still do. But let's go to get into our final comment here. We'll stick with the whole Jimmy theme. This is from Jimmy J7816. It's a good one, Tom. He says, I think Ingram, he's referring to the rookie Harrison Ingram, might pass City Sissoko on the depth chart, probably due to better shooting. What do you think about that? Do you think City is kind of on the bubble light heading into year 2 for him? And do you think Ingram can really, really push him for a roster spot or NBA minutes if he's going to get any, like nobody Austin? But what do you think about that whole Ingram versus Sissoko thought from Jimmy here?
I love that this is a question. Like I genuinely do, right? This is like the person who is asking a question like this is the person who I do this for, the person who cares about like the 13th and 14th spots on the rotate. I genuinely love this. I'm like, there's no sarcasm here. I love this. And
no, he does. Tom interviewed Mamu one time at the practice facility.
Dude, it was, and one of Boban enthusiast, serious Boban enthusiast here. I love a Spurs 14th man, and I think that the commenter is on the right track here. CD has a lot to prove still, especially in terms of his shooting, right? The athleticism, whoa. Like he came in with pretty much an NBA ready body, which not a lot of teenagers do. He can make things happen. He's got vision. He still needs to refine his game though. And even as that game refines, right? If he can't add a jump shot, if he can't add a reliable 3-point shot, at least in the corner, right? It's going to be hard for him to find minutes, right? And especially on a Spurs team that already has like switchable big bodies on that wing, right? If those guys go cold, right? Like you could see a scenario. It's easier for me to see a scenario where Ingram finds his way into minutes because they need what he does better, right? And it's a little harder for me to see that for CD at this point. So, yeah, I think that's pretty spot on.
Yeah. I got him. I got City kind of on the bubble light. I think if he has another down season or just subpar, I think the Spurs will let him still cook. But here's a kid that got hit with an injury last season. It affected him mentally. His words. He did an interview with a French media outlet about it. And then 2, or 3, I should say, now he has Ingram that could be breathing down his neck on the depth chart. But then again, for CD though, Tom, that lack of shooting could almost apply to almost the entire roster. There's not a knockout shooter there. Your Doug McDermott's, your whatever, Steve Kerr's, guys like that. I mean, there's not that reliable deep threat. So everybody needs to work on that, even Wemby. But
there's a dearth of snipers.
Yeah. They don't got snipers. So this is where City could shine. Hopefully he's been looking at his shot over the offseason. We'll see in training camp, preseason, early start. But you also kind of forgive him too, because as I mentioned, he did get hurt last year. And then 2, we don't really have that big of a sample size in NBA action. I think he only played like 5-6 games, and that was usually in garbage time or towards the end of the season. So we don't know what he can do. He gets consistent minutes and kind of a spot on the rotation. We'll see if he'll earn that. But likely, Tom, he'll probably be in your neck of the woods in Austin. He's likely going to be there again.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you were looking at ways he could have potentially carved out rotation minutes, right? Easiest way to mask that lack of shooting is if you put the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And I don't see him getting much run as a like lead initiator in San Antonio this season. So it'll be interesting to see if he can crack the rotation and how. Right. It would take some growth, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So keep an eye on the City Sissoko path. Who knows? You definitely see him maybe this final year in San Antonio. I don't know. It's going to be tough now. It's not only just Harrison Ingram. Look at the depth in front of him. There's Harrison Barnes. There's Devin. There's Steph Castle now. So there's stuff. There's
second round pick is a lot like a box of mystery cards, man. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get a Manu, right?
Yep. Or sometimes you get a Zarko.
Right.
Which would be cool.
Sometimes you get a Zarko, and all love to all of them. It's I don't think it's ever an indictment on a guy if he gives it his best shot at the NBA, and it's like, but also like that's the thing about these guys is they're like still like 20, 21.
Yeah,
they're babies, they're kids. Yeah. They like, they're going to they're going to grow. The question is, do they grow in a way that, helps Spurs win basketball games?
Sure, absolutely. He is Tom Petrini. Make sure to follow him on X at Real Tom Petrini. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on your screen right now. As mentioned earlier, he has a Spurs YouTube show. It's called Silver Black Coffee Hour. You can follow that on X at SLVRBLK Coffee Hour. It's all, HR. It's all one word. Tom, tell us about that show. Why should the folks tune in?
Yeah, character limit on the site formerly known as Twitter, but Silver Black Coffee Hour is just it's a fun time. I think the show works because it's like 4 real life friends just hanging out and talking about hoops, and we came together so we could play pickup, and we also, like, we don't want beef with anybody. We're trying to be like, the comfy, cozy, safe space for Spurs Twitter. I'm peace and love, man. I'm beyond the Don Spurs mafia that you once knew. I'm a legitimate businessman.
Okay? There you go. You wear rings on your finger, your hair slicked back, that stuff. Yeah.
And look at me now. It's all good. Look where it got me. So I've had to make some changes in my life. And it's peace and love, and like, question. I thought of you actually because we did a Q&A episode, and we got a question on if, like, Chris Paul is Master Splinter, who is everybody else in the Spurs starting lineup as Ninja Turtles. And my friend Aaron had, like, he's a real turtle head, and he got after it. Evan Townsend, fantastic, and Zach Montana, just really, really great dudes. And we got some big stuff planned for this season.
Good stuff.
It's been slow for us, but it's been busy behind the scenes. So we're gonna get a new show out soon, and hopefully see you guys there.
Yeah, I like y'all setup. I love that couch, that coffee house vibe, obviously, because you're from we actually spot.
we kind of went to a remote location now, just because like I had too many people. Like, we would be recording and door would be closed, light would be off, but people would come into the coffee shop and walk in front of the camera, and it was like, we should probably get out of space. But the vibe remains, right? It's all good times. But thank you for having me on this show, Hefe. This is where I started out. So
absolutely,
it'll always be love.
There you go. Follow him on X. You see it on your screen. If you're watching on YouTube, Real Tom Petrini, make sure you do that right now. By the way, as far as you're talking about changes too, the nerd wall's coming down. It pains me to do that for the new season, but the nerd wall's
are we getting it Spursy? What's happening?
Ken's wants things changed. That's what it really is. I'm gonna try my best to ask if we can find a happy middle. Like, can I just have a couple of pieces of my nerd wall back there? But they're actually coming in.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get you a big print of the Photoshop that I made that put me on your radar. Do you remember the one?
Oh, you know what? That would be cool. Yes, I know. I think it was Yoda.
It was Tim Duncan was Obi-Wan. And Kawhi was Luke.
That's right. Yeah.
I made a bunch of dumb ones, but that's how the whole thing started.
That would be cool because for watching YouTube, this one right here, Optimus Prime, Duncan.
Yeah, he's hooping.
He's hooping. That was actually donated by AP sports writer Raul Dominguez. He gave me that. So that'd be cool to just have like a theme of that, like donations. So this, like, Raul did it.
Well,
I'll treaty down here.
I got some stuff to send you anyway. I'm gonna send you some stuff.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that gift package. That's gonna be awesome to get. Again, follow him on X at Real Tom Petrini. We'll be back tomorrow. As mentioned, we're gonna be discussing the basketball card world. We're gonna get you a little primer right here with Tom. So get ready to dive deep into that. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking to somebody who's in the industry. Why are these outrageous prices, for WNBA cards just skyrocketing? What is going on? We'll be discussing that tomorrow on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Campfire Plus app, YouTube. The list goes on and on. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen. So for Tom Petrini, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.